You guys just you keep coming around. I just keep hearing about you guys.
And I might need to tell Ryan to cut that up a little bit and just put it in my audio for my phone.
First of all, I love the game. I had a passion to play the game, not only football, but I love the game of golf. And what it lends to a person and the friendships you develop on the golf course.
It's been a pleasure being on the drop. I wish you guys all the best down the road.
As someone like you have that golf itch like a lot of us do.
I keep track of you, and you are moving. You are on the move.
So listen, I'm a big New Jersey golf guy. You're very kind, Mike, and you too, Ryan. It's a pleasure to be on just a couple of Jersey boys here talking about something we love. All the best. I really enjoyed it.
This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? Welcome back to episode 162. Mike and I here. Mike, again, our time of playing some great golf courses this fall continues today's episode. But before we get there, let's get into the schedule. First and foremost, happy Veterans Day. This is coming out November 11th. A big thank you to all the veterans and all those who serve our country here and abroad. And I always give a shout out or I always appreciate, the family members as well. Something that goes under talked about or underutilized. Like, yes, we have men and women who are fighting for our country. The old adage of, keeping, sacrificing their freedoms so that their lives, their time, their, whatever you want to call it, so that we can be free. But their families also go through it too. And what the wives, husbands, if the wife is in the service, what the kids go through, it's a whole unit that does this to protect us and give us our freedoms that we enjoy. So big thank you to all those veterans out there, especially those that are near and dear to my heart, that I'm particularly close with. So those that know who I'm talking about know who I'm talking about. So I really appreciate you guys and thank you. And again, a big shout out to all the veterans that are there. All right, here's the schedule. Yesterday, Mike played barefoot for the Fazio course. Mike, coming back to your Myrtle Beach trip, which was in July, I want to say.
We're backtracking a little bit here.
You know what? And it's funny that you say that because, we've been playing some nice courses and we, kind of how we do things. We want to have them scheduled out, as they kind of come through. But I still haven't finished my Ireland trip either. So we still have some things in the coffer there that we got to get out there. But you par 4, 15th hole, 346 yards. It was, we're going to, if you didn't go see it, go check it out. Instagram, YouTube, all those places there. Something else that came out was my Ballyowen with Tom Reynolds. He's the director of instruction up there at Crystal Springs. We've been up with Tom. He gave us a lesson. We worked with them. We've kind of done a couple things with him. This year, we tried something a little different. He came out on the course for the front nine at Ballyowen. We talked. It was more of a playing lesson, and we kind of went through, we've done all the swing stuff. We've done the putting stuff, but this was, kind of more of a thoughtful, how to think your way through a golf course. And it was really a very interesting time out there, Mike. And so that video came out yesterday as well.
I will say this about the video. I think it's definitely one of the best videos that we have done in the time that we've started really videoing long form videos, because I think what the audience is going to learn is a behind the scenes approach that Tom takes with you, how he's caddying for you. He's giving you great little tidbits, little nuggets of information about what he's trying to get you to think before you hit a shot. He wants to know what you're thinking. All these little things that you hear caddy player talks on CBS and NBC. We got our own little version up there at Ballyowen. So I think it's one of the best videos we got.
Yeah, no doubt. It was really cool to, to talk through it with somebody. We've talked to how that caddy, if you get a caddy, you can kind of talk things through, especially if you play a place a few times, you get the same caddy, you kind of get to know each other a little bit. But when you have somebody like that's more thinking, about what's in front of you, right? Tom was doing that, but he was also getting me to think a little more outside the box, where I was like, hey, I want to just use a little 7-iron for a little bump and run here and just kind of get it up and try to get it, up there. And he's like, okay, you could do that. Right. But here's something else you could do. Right. Or, hey, how would you play this pitch shot? Or what are we trying to go for here? Well, the flag looks over there. He's like, don't look at the flag, right? Flag doesn't exist over there. So just like little things like that were like really helpful. And I think, like you said, a good insight into what people should be thinking on the golf course. So that was all Monday, big Monday yesterday. Today, episode 162, you got us, if you're listening to us, wherever you're listening to us, make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff. You got us on YouTube as well. Mike, I was a little late. You already waved to the camera. I'm going to as well now. And wherever you're consuming us, thank you for doing that. Again, all those things, subscribe, like, rate, review, smash that follow button, all those things that people say to do. We appreciate you guys doing them. That goes a long way for us. Tomorrow, last week we talked about me playing Trump Bedminster, and now you get to see me play a hole. It was the 12th hole, par 4, 392 yards up there at Trump Bedminster. And again, I think you're going to see some I don't want to use the word magic, but you get to see a little bit of the course, and you get to see me play, a great hole. The closing stretch there of holes is really, really excellent there. A really good stretch of holes there. Thursday, Mike, we kind of have we go a little younger than we've gone in the past. Rory Acelta?
Nailed it.
Rory was a 2025 New Jersey High School Golfer of the Year, and he is an absolute stick. We've never had a high school kid on before, someone who's in high school. We've had people who have, recently graduated or going away, but Rory's the youngest guy we got. Again, he won 7 of the 9 tournaments he played in as a freshman last year. He was the freshman New Jersey High School Player of the Year. This summer, he went down to Pinehurst and won the National High School Invitational Tournament, or whatever the name of that is, some kind of national event. He won that as well. Like, you talk about a kid who is going to do big things. Like, this is it. Like, Chris Goddard's the most recent big thing we've had in golf recently, right? And this kid's doing stuff that Chris didn't do. So you talk about like a meteoric rise that this kid's going to have. Be on the lookout. Watch for his name. He's going to do huge things. So that's Thursday. So you got to stay tuned for that. He talks, again, Mike, it was, I know we were talking to a 15, 16-year-old, right? But it didn't feel like we were talking to a 15, 16-year-old. And again, we've talked about how the golf industry just kind of does that for people. And then Friday, we got 3 and 30 at Trump Bedminster, right? I played, a couple holes there and done some recording. And like I said, that back stretch there is excellent. So you're going to get to see a little bit of it. So that's Friday. And then Saturday, we're going to keep rolling. We got bonus content this week. Mike played barefoot, 3 and 30. We're going to keep the what's the word I'm looking for? Keep the symmetry, Mike. We're going to keep it even Steven there. And then Sunday we have over under at Knickerbocker for you and I. So a full week this week of content. So big week for us.
The ship continues to move, big fella. The ship continues to move. This episode is presented by All County Exteriors. If you're a homeowner or builder in New Jersey, there's one name you need to know for exterior and interior modeling. It's All County Exteriors. From roofing, siding, windows and doors, to kitchens, bathrooms, flooring and trim, they do it all. And with over 40 years of experience as a third-generation, family-owned company, you're getting more than just a contractor. You're getting a team that stands behind their work. Now, it is a great time to finally start that deck project you've been putting off before the winter weather hits and lead times pile up. And when you choose All County, you're not just getting top-tier craftsmanship. You're supporting a company rooted in real community values, proudly giving back through organizations like Make-A-Wish, St. Jude's, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. Right now, they're offering an instant 20% off a limited time. Call 732-370-2780 or email info@allcountyonline.com to schedule your free consultation. All County Exteriors, quality you can trust from people who care. let me kind of hit you here with the fast facts, and I'm going to start a little differently here, a little curveball to see if I catch you looking. But I do want to thank everybody that's checked out the website. I know you and I released it last week. If you haven't checked it out, you got to go see it, golfinginthegardenstate.com. And, it's one of those things that we mentioned last week. We want it to be a hub for all the things that we got going on. You name it, it's there. But obviously the one difference in terms of content, episodes, things that normal, things that we have out there is the merchandise. And I can't thank you enough because the orders that were placed, the feedback that we received has been nothing but positive. And I know one of the things that I received on the side was, thank you for keeping everything at a normal price, because nowadays everything just seems to be so damn expensive. And I had said last week, the idea is just to get the logo out there, just to get the brand out there, just to let everybody wear it, rock it, show it off. And that was a huge part of what we tried to do here. Obviously, it seems like, after 1 week, the amount of orders and the feedback that we received, it's been phenomenal. People in New Jersey bought, people in Pennsylvania bought. So we're even stretching a little bit outside our boundary lines with the things that we got going on. So if you don't know what we're talking about, go check it out. golfinginthegardenstate.com. It lives and breathes there, folks.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, you and I are both wearing stuff. We got hoodies on that we're both wearing. I wore the hat last time we played. Like the stuff is great. The gear came out great, and kind of having this hub for where everything's going to live is really a kind of a move in the next direction for us.
Yeah. And then as we get here on the PGA Tour, last week, the Worldwide Technology Championship did go off. John Pack played very well. He did finish T17. I know some people had said, is he close to getting inside the top 100? Unfortunately, he only moved up 10 spots to 165. Max did make the cut, didn't have a very good weekend, finished 62nd. So John Pack is still well outside the top 100 to retain his card next year. He's only got 2 events left, and I think we've said this on repeat with the tournament that's this week, the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. He's got to make a move and start slicing up, some butter on that bagel, because if he doesn't get the job done this week or next week, he's back to Q school. And unfortunately, that's not a route that a lot of guys want to take, but sometimes that's what, is on the menu. So hopefully John does something crazy. Maybe he goes out and wins this week. But best of luck. At least go enjoy the weather at the very least.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, good luck to John. I don't know what the math is, Mike, but you got to think he's got to win one of these next 2. There's no chance. Like coming in second isn't going to be enough points to jump.
He's got to win. He's got to win. So that wraps up this week's Fast Facts.
All right, Mike, let's jump into our episode then. We again kind of teased it about, us getting out there to play Hollywood, and that we did get out there kind of keeps our fall rolling here, that we've had, quite a run here of the private golf courses between Knickerbocker, between Hollywood, between and why am I blanking on the name? Hackensack. Thank you. It's been like you
getting up to Trump.
Big couple weeks. Yep, me getting to Trump. We've had we've had a good little late burst here in October and into early November. So we got out to Hollywood. We played with we had a group of us there, and it was an incredible time. Mike, where do you want to go to start this Hollywood, kind of?
Yeah. So let's start off, obviously, thank you to Tyler Brewington.
Let's start with thank you.
Yep, without having Tyler invite you and I out there, I know we both have played it before, and it's one of those ones we've had our opinions about it, but getting another opportunity to go out there on this fall tour that you and I have been on, it was a truly unforgettable day from start to finish. Getting out there, playing with Eric Lafante, again, another guy that's been on the podcast. He had us out at Somerset. So the foursome that we had was dynamic in terms of golfing abilities. I mean, there's times that I feel like I can hit it, and then I watch guys like these two, and it's like, no, they can hit the golf ball. And then finally getting meet Kevin, their head golf professional in person, just put icing on the cake before we even teed off to start the day, because those guys there really value their golf course, their golf club, the whole nine. And to talk about the things that they either did or have going on, you kind of saw that light in their eyes and that spark just say, hey, listen, let us invite you to this spot. Let us tell you about the history of this place. Let us talk about all the changes that have gone on over the years. And when you see someone have that type of passion about what is theirs, it's so genuine, it's so authentic, and it's just so nice to just frankly be around. So, big time shout out to Tyler for having us out there.
Yeah, no doubt, Mike, because it is one of these places that I said it out there. I know that it's the 7th ranked course in New Jersey. I think that's what the latest polls had it out there. I know how awesome it is, and I'm very fortunate, and it doesn't fall short on me that I've played it a number of times. Right, I get to play it, kind of quite a bit, and the people there are so excellent. Kevin and his staff are awesome to us. And I really just, I said it out there. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough for how good it is. It has the history. It has the prestige. The golf course exquisite. It has everything. And I know that it's 7th, and it's tough to say that a course that high is underrated. But I really do feel like you look at that clubhouse, and it's just not like the locker room clubhouse, right? I know they're going through a renovation there of the actual clubhouse, but like you look at that, and it's like, wow, this place is special, and it really special is the only word that I could use to describe it, because it really is a special place. I get the same feeling that I get when I walked onto Baltusrol, when I walked onto Ridgewood, and some of the other places that are in that top 25 list are great places. And I don't want to, I hate diminishing places to raise other ones up, but I don't get the same feeling at some of those places that I do when I get at Hollywood. It is over the top special. And I think that it deserves all the flowers it gets and more.
Yeah, listen, I think firsthand that I have not spoken as highly about Hollywood than others have. I just kind of at times was like, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not one of my favorites. And I will be brutally honest and say it's not a favorite of mine, but it's a golf course that I could play every day, because there's so many different sets of tees, so many different challenges about the golf course that presents itself that I don't think I would get bored playing there. And I think I fell a little more in love with the place after being there again, after having my preconceived ideas and thoughts about the place and my opinions, frankly, that I think I came around a little bit more after walking it again and seeing it again. And frankly, enjoying it a hell of a lot more than I did last time. And I don't know if it's because last time I played it, it was in an actual tournament. And sometimes you're a little bit more, narrow-minded. You're focused on what's trying to get on. You're not out there kind of enjoying what the golf course actually has. So being out there in that type of situation made me be able to like look around, take more in, breathe a little bit, 4-putt once or twice, a few, out there, and just be able to like, you know what? I kind of dig it a little more than I did prior to teeing it up that day.
I love to hear that, because as I told you when you said that it was not that you were like, it's I know you didn't love it as much as I did. And I couldn't wrap my mind around it. So hearing that you're starting to make your way over to the good side, makes me happy. I mean, Mike, let's talk now about the golf course. Like, I think it has a great start to your day there. You go in and like you said, you got there's the 2-story locker room that's there. It's got the bar inside. It's got the history. It's got stuff on the walls from turn of the century, 1900s. It's got all that stuff, right? You got a grass driving range that's kind of a little bit, I would say Matita-Conk-esque in that it's kind of like a little half moon shape. It's not nearly as big, but grass driving range, that's huge. You have 2 different putting greens that are right there, one right behind the driving range, and then one right next to the first tee. And right from the go, how much I love that, because the green runs right into the tee box, and that scratches me right where I itch. And it is such a cool feature. I don't know how else to describe it. That look I just absolutely love. And then you have a tee shot that seems rather wide open. You got the driving range left, but there's a creek that sneaks up there on the right. It kind of narrows right where your ball's going to land. And you could lay off and say, I'm not going to risk fading it into the creek there or into some trouble. But then you're going to leave yourself with a hybrid in to a green that is not very receptive, which is, a difficult, like it's a more difficult hole than leads the eye to start.
As the leaves begin to turn into those stunning fall colors, there's no better place to enjoy it than Galloping Hill Golf Course in Union County, New Jersey. Whether you're looking to play a round of championship level golf, plan the wedding of your dreams, or relax with casual indoor or outdoor dining at a modern gastro pub, Galloping Hill has it all. Not many public golf facilities can boast a top-ranked 18-hole golf course, a top 10 in the country 9-hole course, and a top 50 in the country learning center that is home to one of the only golf simulators at a municipally owned golf course in the country. The Swing Suite at Galloping Hill can be booked for an hour to work on your game or multiple hours to have an awesome hangout with your friends while you watch the game. Enjoy the bar-style foods and drinks while playing some of the most famous courses in the world on this simulator. To top it all off, Galloping Hill will be hosting the first stage of Corn Ferry Tour Q School this October. It's all happening this year at Galloping Hill Golf Course. Yeah, listen, that first tee shot is beyond underrated because people don't realize how hard of a tee shot that is with a lot of things going on, because sometimes that first tee is kind of away from everything. You're not away from everything right there.
You are it is the center of everything.
Yeah, you're center stage right there. It's cue left. Come on over, buddy. It's your turn. And that tee shot is not easy because to your point, it looks open, but precision is needed 100%.
No, for sure. And then to kind of finish that little like loop that they have there, the second hole is tight left. It's not a long hole. But you kind of want to leave yourself something that you can control as well as possible. So you could use iron, but then you're going to have maybe a 6 or 7 iron in, or you could go wood or driver and leave yourself with a little wedge kind of in there. But you do bring in more trouble. You do bring in, there's a tree on the right, the creek that's on one kind of keeps going down. So if you hit it a little farther right, you're in trouble there. You could get blocked out by the tree. Out of bounds creeps up on the left. And there's really not a lot of out of bounds on the course. You got down 9 and 10, and I would guess 11, but really the hole's not going in that direction. So if you hit it out of bounds, it's a really bad shot. And 12, I guess, but you're kind of, as far as the front would be concerned, there's not a whole lot of out of bounds in the front side of the property. And again, another green that is tough to hold, tough to put it in the right spot, tough to maneuver for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the things I wrote down here in my notes are the greens are very distinctive. It's complex, the contours, the way it slopes. I think one of the things about the greens at Hollywood that I think the more you play it, the better you are, but it rewards imagination because you've got to really see things differently than outside left or just a ball out right. Because I think the example that I thought about when I was thinking specifically about the greens was the third hole, because I thought I hit a very good second shot in there. I had about 25, 30 feet. Pin is back right, which everybody knows is probably the hardest pin on that hole. And I'm about 25, 30 feet middle of the green left. And I frankly... that's what you want to do. I'm going to go hit the middle of the green. Don't attack this pin, because if you're a little bit right, it falls off into some bunkers. You hit a perfect second shot. You really did. And now you're rewarded with 30 feet, up an elephant, down an elephant, around a zebra, up a hippopotamus, into the hole. Yeah, not thinking I needed to aim as far left as I actually did, because when I hit the putt, I literally thought like, all right, that's not bad. And then before you know it, I had a longer putt coming back up the hill. So like when I think about like the imagination aspect of it, like you've got to really kind of think outside the box with those greens because they are very complex. There's little things in there, little contours that you just don't frankly see. And I think, you know, you and I have said this many, many times on a podcast. There's certain handicaps at certain courses that travel. You play at Hollywood on a daily basis, and your handicap is going to travel because that golf course is very, very difficult from whatever set of tees that you do play.
No doubt. I mean, from the tee box to the green, it is a beautiful golf course, but that's not the challenge to the golf course. It does have its challenges. You know, you look at 4, 5, you look at like 6 and 7 there, you got bunkers that are in, you basically have one fairway and it's just the only thing dividing the two holes is this almost church pew-esque kind of bunkers, right? It does have its challenges, but that's not the challenging part to the golf course. It is the greens. The greens are treacherous. And like you said, it rewards imagination and it rewards execution. Because even if you see, so like, for example, on that third hole, I had pulled mine left, you know, so I was pin high, but I was off the green. I knew I had to chip it way left and then let the slope kind of take it. And I didn't. I wouldn't say it was a bad chip, but it wasn't. I mean, I didn't land it within a foot of where I was looking for. And because I didn't, it went, you know, 30 feet down the hill. And so not only do you have to see it, but you have to execute it too.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that was one of the things about the greens that I thought really stood out. And I do want to toss it back to you because obviously we can go hole by hole and just be like, wow. But I know you're of the mindset of not 1, not 2, and typically it is 18 holes. But I do want you to try to give me what you think are potentially your top 3 holes on that golf course.
Well, Mike, I had 2 birdies, so those are going to be the 2 holes that I'm going to use. No, I'll tell you, there's a couple like holes and even stretches of holes that are awesome there. I do think the character of the golf course, like the back couple of holes, like 10 is a long, great par 5. 11's a really good hole. If you don't know the green, you know, that can be a tough one as well. Heinz 57 is hole 12, and that's another big boy hole. There's a lot of character on those greens right there. So I want to give you a par 3, a par 4, and a par 5. How about that?
Wow. I kind of like that.
I thought you might. My par 3 that I think is I think one of the better holes or one of the best holes on the course. I think it's 17. And I guess, Mike, I could say this. We could take the stretch of 16, 17, and 18 and take it out because I think that's one of the best finishing stretches at minimum in our area, maybe the state. I think that those holes are, you have a birdieable par 5 in 16, right? And it plays as a par 4 from the blacks or the back tees, and it plays a par 5 for us. So you have it's a little bit on the shorter side, so you could make a move there. But then 17 is a super long, on the card, it's 224 from the blues, par 3 that has a like a spine in the middle of the green, and if you're on the wrong side of that spine, you're not coming close to the hole. Like it is a dangerous par 3. It's got bunkers. I think the bunkering there is beautiful. And then the iconic mound that has what am I looking for? The tunnel going through it. Like you have the iconicness of that. I think that hole is really difficult, but I think that's an excellent, excellent hole.
I wrote about that walk from 17 to 18. I was trying to think of like some things to say about that walk because yes, that little gate, that little transition that is there. I wrote the walk from 17 to 18's tee is one of Hollywood's most peaceful transitions, a quiet moment before the challenge. And I just thought, like, when I'm thinking about that, like, that is the picture about Hollywood that you see all the time. And when you get to like walk through something like that, it's like, okay, here we go. The end is near. Either that's a good thing or a bad thing for you.
Yeah, I like a lot of that parts of the hole, because I also think it's cool where if you're playing from maybe not even the black tees, because the black tees are kind of like behind the 17th green. Let me start that over. From the 18th hole, you're just walking back. You're not doing the tunnel, right? But if you're playing even one up and you don't have to walk through the tunnel, the mound kind of ends, and it's a kind of interesting. You're kind of like walking kind of behind this like mound, and you're not walking through the tunnel, but you are walking through like kind of around, like you're almost like going behind the curtain almost. It's kind of a cool feeling too. So again, depending on what tee you're playing, you have a couple different like neat little options there for 17. So that's my par 3. Mike, my par 4 is the Heinz 57. Hole 12. 57 bunkers are on this hole.
Now refined. Now if you remember what Tyler said, there's now 42 after the latest restoration.
So you beat me to it. So I was just going to say, that's okay. Nope. It's all good. So and maybe help me out with the numbers. They redid the bunkers, and it's the 6th most bunkered course in America. I believe is what Tyler said.
You're testing me. We're either going to be marked as correct on that one, or people are going to DM us and yell at us. So
and that's okay.
Just roll with it. Own it.
So
6. We're going 6. Yell at me if it's wrong.
I'm pretty sure that's what he says. The 6th most bunkers in either America or the world, but on the whole course. And they're starting to go back to the way they originally had the amount of bunkers. So it's the original. So they now have 42. Originally it was called the Heinz 57 because they had 57 bunkers on there. You stand on that tee shot and you are seeing every inch of every one of those bunkers. It's an elevated tee shot that it has history. It's been changed over the years. I think they're going to change some things back to it. It's got some interesting quirks isn't the right word, but some interesting things to it. But you are elevated high and hitting down and seeing a patch of bunkers that's almost like Hell's Half Acre. It's but not as, not a waste area, all bunkers. And then you have kind of a straight like spine of bunkers going, and then up near the green you got all those bunkers. It is a daunting tee shot that when you get on that tee box, you're like, man, I have legit drive, second shot, and hopefully hit the green on that second shot, because it is a treacherous looking hole, and it is a treacherous hole.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there. They're helping. They're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall and go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
There isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs. Yeah, understatement, because that green is no joke either, the way it slopes off to the bunkers on the side there. So, I think that hole, I'm looking at my list here, and that was obviously on mine as well. It's, I don't know if there's an easy thing to say about that hole, except it's one of those, like, you hit and you hope your ball finds green grass of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to end up in one of those 42 bunkers, and you're going to pray that you make a 5 and run to the next hole.
And Mike, I should point this out. There's also out of bounds on the right. There's a little creek, and then there's houses along the right that sneak up on you too. So you have to hit a good shot. There's not really a bailout spot. You got like almost like a Narnia kind of woods area to the left that you want to avoid. You don't want to have to punch out to something there. You got to hit a good tee shot, and it's daunting and nerve-wracking. And when that happens, that little bit of flinch, that little bit of doubt, that little bit of being a degree off on your driver is going to put the ball somewhere you don't want to be. And it happens more often than not there. But that hole is an excellent, excellent hole. That's my par 4, Mike. And then my par 5 is the 7th hole. I think this is such a great hole. It is a long hole. It's in between 6 and 7. There's everyone on the that's listening to this just went 6, 7, and shut up, you don't do that. But in between those two holes, there's like this like church pew-esque kind of bunker. I don't know, like it's definitely not church pew, but they're in a line. They're the dividing in both landing areas of where these drives are hit, and it is again, another part. It's like, okay, I got to watch out for the bunkers on the right. Should be clear of them on 7. But if you think about it, right, if you're downwind, you're like, okay, can I reach the next set of bunkers that are up ahead? There's a tree that's overhanging, so you don't want to, on the left and on the right. So you don't want to go too far left or too far right, because that's just another, on your second shot, another thing that's coming into your mind, right? You get up to the green. It's kind of, it has this enormous cavernous bunker on the left, and it's minimum 3-tiered green, I would call it. I could even let you talk me into a 4-tier green, because there's a lower level, a second level, a third level, and if the pin is really far back, you really got to get it up there. And it's a difficult green to hit and to hold. You got to be able to control your golf ball. You really want to be up and approaching it straight on. So you really do want to be in that like shorter area. But then if your game around the green in that like 30-yard kind of half wedge shot isn't good, you're going to be in trouble, because you got to be able to have the ball spin. You got to be able to check it. You got to be able to control it. And I don't know if I mentioned, there is a cavernous bunker next to this screen you do not want to be in. So,
yeah, I mean, do you remember? I mean, that hole to me, even off the tee, I know there's a little area to the right, which you mentioned, but for us that just hit hooks all day, every day, there's also a little one out there on the left-hand side that, like, if you nuke a drive, you could get there. And listen, that hole is not, and you think par 5s, it's a gettable one. I'm going to get one back, because I think 16 is one where you could probably look at the course and say, I'm going to get one back here.
Yeah.
But on 7, I think you got to hit 2 high quality shots if you're going to try to get around the green. And that's if the ball funnels up the neck, because if it ends up on the left-hand side, you're in that bunker you just brought up. If you're on the right-hand side,
did I mention it's cavernous?
Yeah. And if you're on the right, you saw where you were, like, pending where that pin is, that is no easy up and down, frankly, for birdie, if you hit it there in 2, or even for par, if you land your third shot short. So that is not by any stretch of the imagination a gettable par 5. But I do know someone that got it that day.
Yeah, I do too. And it was, and got it with a terrific shot. So, Mike, do you want to explain your hole?
Oh, I mean, listen, it makes up for the 4 putt on number 3, because I had a 0 putt on number 7 and made eagle. So, I mean, you want to talk about like balancing things out in life. We go from the highest of highs. We go from the lowest of lows on a 4 putt and a double bogey 6 to then a 0 putt and a 3 on a par 5 that you're not expecting to do. So, yeah, I guess that's welcome to the world of golf.
Yeah, and it was downwind for us for sure. So even, you were a little bit closer. You hit a better second shot than I did, but I was in that position that I don't love to be in, right? I would rather have, to be honest, I think I'd rather have a full wedge shot than that like kind of awkward 25-yard shot that I had. That's like kind of touchy. It's very easy to dig your club into the ground. And I don't have the touch. I frankly just don't practice that ever. So, that's probably part of it, but you have a tough shot and it's exactly what happened. I didn't give it enough. It got to the top of the hill, but I needed another revolution and I didn't get it. And it rolled, down from the second tier to the bottom of the first tier. So I had to putt it, but you were able to get it up to that spot and had a great chip in for your eagle there. Did you do a little bump and run or was it a chip? I can't remember.
I was the old putt. I actually used the putt.
You putted it.
I did, and I went
because you were standing almost you were almost in the bunker, which I mentioned the bunker on the left being cavernous. The bunker on the right is also not very good because you see the cavernous bunker if you blade it over, so you could be in trouble there.
Yeah, I putted it and called bank because I hit the pin so damn hard. It, thank God, was dead center. I said bank, so it still had to count.
It counted.
I know nowadays if you don't call bank, it doesn't count. So I called bank, it went in.
Yeah, that was a great hole. You had a great shot, but those Mike, those are my favorite couple holes on the course. All right, 17 the par 3, 12 the par 4, 7 the par 5.
So what I did is I kind of stole a page from your book here, and I wrote down my top 3 holes. And
yes.
And what I did is I just gave it a sentence for each one, right? Because I was like, all right, I'm going to go in order. Let me think. And I had an idea that we were going to be very similar because, I think when we see certain holes, they stand out to the two of us. So here we go. My top 3 holes at Hollywood Golf Club. The first one is hole number 4, the par 3, 150 yards. The shortest par 3 on the course, yet far from simple, is what I wrote. My second hole was hole number 12, the par 4, Heinz 57, the first of 3 demanding par 4s on the back, and probably and arguably Hollywood's most photographed hole. And then my number 3 hole was hole 17, the longest par 3 on the course, and one of the toughest when you're talking closing stretches, which then led me to that line of earlier, the walk from 17 to 18 is one of Hollywood's most peaceful transitions, a quiet moment before the final challenge. Like, those are my 3, very similar to you and I. Good. Sometimes you think alike, and sometimes you see what you see. So.
I mean, they're probably that way for the reason, Mike. I mean, those are excellent holes. Like you said, the 12th hole is when Links Gems goes there, when Evan Schiller's been there, like that is the most photographed and probably most photogenic hole on the golf course, right? And then the 17th hole is probably next because that tunnel and mound are so unique and so cool and interesting, and it brings back history, and it's got all these feelings to it, right? So you got a couple there that are, photogenic holes, right? Do you have one? So let me ask you, since we had 2 that were the same, do you have one that you thought was an underrated hole that you were like, man, that has a cool feature here, or I liked this part of it? Was there another hole that stands out to you?
Yeah, I did. 14, the par 4, where I had that tree on the left where I was like, if you're talking about taking trees down, we need to take this tree down because I think, yes, I'd still stand by that statement, Tyler, that if we're going to take trees down, take that one down there. But I think where you tee off on that tee box and how they've talked about maybe doing some things there, but having to hit an important tee shot and knowing what your line is there is extremely important. And then I think the second shot into the green with the little creek in front, you got all those little small, tiny bunkers on the left that my ball found. Like, that's a unique characteristic that a place like Hollywood you don't think would have, but they do. And I thought that hole was one of the holes, again, minus that tree, that really stands out as it's a sneaky hard hole because if you miss it left, that tree is dead smack in your way. And if you miss it right, you got, I don't know if that's OB or it's lateral over there. You got a couple things going on the right side. Like, it requires 2 very efficient, effective golf shots because if you miss it short, you're in the creek. You miss it left, like I did, best of luck. I think that's a sneaky underrated hole.
I agree with you. I think that's a great hole. I love that tree. Tyler, don't take that tree down. I thought that's an excellent tree. But Mike, to your point, like if you either don't know the golf course, and again, I believe it was downwind, so maybe it was super downwind, but we both had 70-ish yards into the green. And because I didn't, you hook yours, more than I did, I actually hit a great drive on that one. I was smack in the middle of the fairway, but I think my number was like 67 yards I had only. Now, I then I hate you, Mike.
You teed me up for that one. I didn't say anything for the first one, but you see me up there.
I do think that, and then, you got to put another good shot on because you don't want to be short, to your point, and the pin was, a little bit in the front, but I didn't put a good shot in it. I kind of bladed it. I was way in the back, and then now you got a downhill putt with the potential to roll out with those fast greens into a little ditch that, that's running right there. So yeah, a good hole that, again, maybe we don't hit driver, maybe we go 3-wood instead. Maybe that's not the play just because it was super downwind. I don't necessarily know. Again, I haven't played it that much to know, but maybe people don't hit drivers there, Mike, and they just go 3-wood or they go iron, and then you got, something 150 to 160, something like that into the green. Maybe that's the play. I don't know, but yeah, I thought that's a great hole as well.
I did say the 14th hole, right?
Yeah.
I said 14. Okay, 14. I wasn't sure. I'm thinking about it in my mind. Did I say 15? And then I'll get yelled at again, Mike. That's the par 3. I know, but I was catching myself. Okay.
I mean, the 15th is a great hole. It's
great hole. Yeah. I mean, someone I knew
hole.
almost made a hole in 1.
Oh yeah, very close. Very close.
Very close. Very close. I mean, if you stop putting backspin on it and put some topspin on it and then redirect it to the right, you might have made one.
Which would have been great. But yeah, I put it to about 3 foot and on 15 and barely made the putt, but I did make the birdie there. So
went in the hole.
And I'll tell you, I have a great picture of you guys because I almost got a hole in 1 and the 3 of you were in the bunker. So it was I got a pretty funny picture of you guys all in the bunker lined up in a row ready to hit your balls. So that was
I almost died after hitting my bunker
it
shot,
was
so.
It was pretty interesting. So when we did get that on film, correct? You were filming 15?
Yeah,
so when that comes out, people will see it. It's some interesting points there. So Mike, my underrated hole, I love the 9th hole. I don't know specifically why. I think it's a great green complex. It kind of has a little, it has some backstops around it, but it also has some runoffs front and back. There's a almost like a pot bunker on the right that you can't be in, to the green side bunker. There's out of bounds on the right, which again, for most of the front, there's no out of bounds. So you're not really thinking of it until you start thinking of it. And then you're like, oh shoot, I can't go right, which, you could probably guess where my drive went. It went right. It didn't go out of bounds, but it did go right. And it kind of scared me for a while. And there's trees there to help you, but then you gotta kind of punch out and you have a difficult green, but I love the way that hole rises. Again, from the blue tees, it's 356.
Yep.
And it plays longer than that because it is uphill the whole way. Maybe even closer to 400, depending on how the wind is, but it's a great hole. And then I think you add the fact of the beautiful halfway house that they've redone in recent years, the big American flag that's sitting on the 8th and 10th tee box, which is like this big teeing area that has both tee boxes on it. I love how that kind of looks. I think that's worded correctly. The way that 9 kind of rolls into that too. It's just a lot of very aesthetically pleasing things that hit my eye, and I think that's an underrated hole there, for sure.
That's a good one. I love the bunkering there is phenomenal too.
Yeah.
Bunkering there is phenomenal. Yeah, listen, I think at the end of the day, it's a golf course that really made me come around to some of my earlier opinions about it. And I had a great time. We had a great day. I'm not typically one that hangs out after the round. I'm normally, in my car driving home and having the opportunity to actually sit down with everybody, BS some more, see my old buddy Jerry Murphy in there. Like those are things that like, you enjoy, but guys, like for me, the time is just so hard to do more like that. So, being able to sit with you guys there and just BS some more is, anytime you want to talk golf, that's right up our alley.
Yeah, it really was. And again, it's another, you look at like the 19th hole setup there, you have great opportunities to just, kick back. You don't need to get, turn on there. You can really, or turn it up there, I should say. You could, just sit back and casually just chat about golf. Like you got some couches there. It's got everything there. It's a beautiful, beautiful golf course. I mean, again, Tyler, thank you for having us out there, because it is truly a special, special place. And again, one I would never get tired of playing.
Yeah, I echo that. I echo that 100%. And I got two little final things here to put a bow on today's episode. One, congratulations to Matitaconk National. They've been awarded the 2029 US AMS 4-ball, which is kind of funny because those two guys that we just played with at Hollywood are partners that try to play in big time tournaments like this. And what better to see those two out? And I know it's down the road, but anytime a golf course here in New Jersey gets awarded big time USGA events like this, I mean, we just remember this past year was up at Plainfield. So in a few more years, it's coming right back to Matitaconk. So bringing a USGA championship here back to New Jersey.
Awesome.
Congrats.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I got, listen, I know it's Tuesday, but Friday you turn 40. And I know we already recorded Thursday's episode, so I'm not going to be able to say it to you then, but listen, the big fella turns 40. He's turning the page onto a new era in his life, a new chapter in his life. And for all of us 40-year-old folk, listen, I know some people think it like, you're getting old, but listen, I speak on my behalf. 40s have been the best time of my life. And I know the route that you're on, in your personal life and things you got going on in your career as well. Listen, I know it's going to be the best decade, the best time of your life. So I know I'm a little early in saying this, but happy 40th birthday, big fella.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. I really do appreciate that. And it's very nice of you to say. It was, we had a little, the fiance threw a little shindig for me last weekend. And, I know you were in Florida, so you weren't able to make it. And that whole debacle for you to get back. But I really am. I'm very introspective as of late, and in turning to a new decade and looking at things, and you look at you look at your 20s and people are still trying to figure themselves out and trying to get your identity and who you are, and in high school, kind of people are trying to put on a facade, right? And then that kind of starts to go away a little bit in your 20s. You kind of figure out who you are, and then you get into your 30s and you meet someone, you get married, and things like that happen. And for me, I had met someone, and then I ended up getting divorced in my 30s, and COVID happened in my 30s, and I went through the cesspool that is online dating in my 30s, and it's been the last couple years have been really, I would say more than a couple years have been really difficult, but it turned a page, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Honestly, Mike, probably when we started this podcast, things started turning for me. Met my fiance, and we're getting married next year, and things are looking up. And to your point, I think that the next decade is going to be my best one yet, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm really, again, as I'm getting introspective here, I think about all the people in my life and things that have been good for me, and I have so much to be thankful for in my life, and I'm really I'm genuinely happy for things that are going on. And I know that I don't say it all the time to people or what have you, but just know I am immensely thankful to all the people I have in my life. So thank you. I appreciate the birthday wish.
Yeah, well said, big fella. Well said.
All right. Mike, I'm going to venture a guess that you don't have anything else for today's episode.
No, listen, that's it. Heavy dose of Hollywood. I needed to make sure we get those quick hitters there at the end. And listen, stay tuned to Thursday. Rory Celta, we step outside the box. You want to talk about having some imagination. Well, we did that with a kid that is going to be, in my eyes, the next best big thing New Jersey has coming when it comes to golfing.
No doubt there. No doubt. This is you better buy now because the stock's only going up. So we'll see you on Thursday for our interview with Rory. Till then, cheers.